Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's Toby's Talk Show, and today we are back talking about the NBA. And we'll be talking about two different topics today. One, how much are the Nuggets contenders without Jamal Murray? I talked about it previously in the Jamal Murray injury video, but I do want to go more in depth in that because they've actually been so hot as of late. And then I also want to talk about, after the Bucks, the Nets, and the Sixers, who is the biggest threat in the East? Who can maybe surprise in the second round, make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and put up a fight, depending on who's healthy, who's not. So we'll talk about the Nuggets first. It's very interesting. The Nuggets, I believe, I would call them with the Knicks and Wizards, the three hot, one of the three hottest teams in the league right now. And this is all happening without Jamal Murray. Since Jamal Murray's been down, I think they're like 10-2 or something like that. Just absolutely insane. Haven't stopped. And Nikola Jokic, undoubtedly the MVP this season. It's not even a race at this point. He might not win it unanimously, but honestly deserves to. You just look at the other candidates: Joel Embiid, injuries; LeBron, injuries; Giannis is up there. But Jokic is just having a better season slash being more, impactful slash valuable. Chris Paul's stats don't really show his, pop and impact, but, also I still wouldn't give it to him. Just what Jokic is doing this year is phenomenal. And then, just so many other people: James Harden hurt, Durant hurt, Irving hurt, Curry, team's not good enough. So, yeah, really the only guy that kind of checks all the boxes is definitely Jokic. And that's why he deserves to win it this year. And, the Nuggets, since the Aaron Gordon trade, have also been very, very good. And so, with Michael Porter Jr. now becoming the man as well there, that is what's the keys. Gordon coming and Michael Porter Jr. kind of flourishing as a second option with Campazzo playing great basketball is really the keys to the Nuggets' success as of late. And, it doesn't seem like it's going to stop soon. But the question is, without Jamal Murray, the thing with Jamal Murray, which I think is what was so impactful about him, is A, he turned up in the playoffs every year, basically. And B, he was their clutch go-to guy if Jokic was A, having a tough night, or B, in playoff situations, you'll see him get doubled more and get more, peep bodies on him. And so Jamal Murray was that guy that was able to hit the shot if Jokic wasn't getting a good one. And they don't have that now, and that's Michael Porter Jr.'s job, and as of late he's been doing it, and that's why they're winning. But, can you trust a sophomore? We have to wait and see. Same thing with the Knicks over there with RJ, and we'll go to the Knicks in the East in a minute when we talk about that. But, you have the Suns, a very good team, probably, without Jamal Murray, talent-wise better. But, a lot of those players have not been in the playoffs. Chris Paul has, Jay Crowder has. But I think that's really it. Obviously, Mikal Bridges has a lot of March Madness history, and so does a lot of other players on that team. But, Devin Booker hasn't made the playoffs yet. Cam Johnson hasn't made the playoffs yet. Obviously, he was in UNC, though. Mikal Bridges hasn't made the playoffs yet. And even though there aren't that many fans at games, and, some teams there still aren't any fans, playoffs are a different story, and it'll be very, very interesting to see. When you look at the Jazz, it's kind of the same team. Obviously, with Conley, you thought they would get better 2 years ago when they traded for Conley, and they weren't that good last year. But this year, Conley's been amazing. The whole team really just has been phenomenal with the Jordan Clarkson trade as well a year or two ago. That's been really good for them. And, they're good, but, as fans, we haven't seen them. They're kind of like the Bucks. We haven't seen them do anything yet. And this is their first year being really, really good. So it's going to be very interesting. They're kind of a question mark. The Lakers, they just aren't healthy. And, they don't seem to have good chemistry right now, and the bench doesn't look that great. So, can the two stars come back healthy, and can the bench still, do what's needed for them to win games? Because even though LeBron and AD, they could do so much, the bench still has to contribute. It is a team game. The Clippers, they look like, one of the best teams right now in the world, or, in the league, whatever you want to say. And they're definitely in consideration for being a finalist in the NBA. And that's really it. I mean, Blazers probably not going to make a lot of noise, neither with the Mavericks. And then as you go down, Grizzlies, Pelicans, they're not making any noise. So it's going to be interesting. I think they could, right now they're projected to play the Mavericks if the season ended today, and I think they would win that series. But then they would have to play a team like right now it would be the Suns. And I think, just overall, I think the Suns would win it just because the talent overrides, how good Jokic has been. I think, Michael Porter Jr. isn't consistently ready to take on that role, especially in the playoffs, but we'll see. I think their ceiling is the Western Conference Finals, but I don't really see them getting out of the second round. I think there's a chance they could, but I don't really see them doing that, making that much noise without Jamal Murray. I think with Jamal Murray, they were championship contenders, and I would have definitely thought that they were probably right now. If they had Jamal Murray, they'd probably be. I would think the second best team in the West, or like the second I would think that they have the second best chance to get out of the West right now. But that changes with Jamal Murray not playing, and that sucks. And then when we talk about the best teams outside the Bucks, Sixers, and Nets, kind of like who's going to come out, who's that fourth team in the second round? Because obviously the Nets, Sixers, Bucks will probably win. And can they make noise against one of those teams? If most likely they'd have to play the Sixers. And you look at teams like the Knicks. Knicks have been very hot as of late, but they have little playoff experience, just like the Suns. And again, like I said, different animal in the playoffs. Julius Randle will be getting a lot more bodies, and you're gonna have to rely on a lot of players that haven't done that much in their careers and have done nothing in the playoffs because they haven't been there. So that's gonna be interesting. The Celtics just haven't looked like themselves. Themselves, I should say. And then, Brown, Tatum have been injured. Just, the whole team has had a lot of injuries and COVID issues, so they don't look 100%. The Heat, it's kind of disappointing season. Tyler Hero not having a great sophomore season. Jimmy Butler being out for a good period of time. But I think, with Jimmy there and Spoelstra, I think they're probably the scariest team outside the top three. And then you have the Hawks, who are a very good team, but they can't really stay healthy. So, I would probably rank it Hawks, Heat, Knicks, Celtics. I think the Celtics just aren't there altogether. I think they have a lot of issues to fix in the offseason. I think the Heat, if you have Jimmy Butler, and obviously if Bam's healthy, you're going to be a very good team. And I think, you saw what Butler did in the playoffs, and I think he could just, copy that again this year. And yeah, that's really, I think the Hawks just have a really, really good team. And if they're all playing, they'll be a good team and a tough team to face in the playoffs. And yeah, the Knicks are a good team, but I think the playoff experience, or lack of, I should say, is going to really hurt in the playoffs. So that's really it, guys. Just wanted to kind of ramble about some topics for a couple of minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you like these videos, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.